señalaron. Dijeron igualdad, pero esta vez me separaron. Dijeron mucho, pero no se olvidaron de callarse. Cuánto odio por mi piel sembraron. Dijeron historia y la tergiversaron. Dijeron guerra, muerte, odio y nos culparon. Enfermedades, epidemias nos contagiaron. Exterminación de mi fauna complace a tus mercados. Dijeron riqueza y todo se lo robaron. Oro, platino, diamante, a la fuerza se lo llevaron. Y la actualidad es tan triste que todo aquello que dijeron es lo mismo que hoy se dice más. ¿Quién dice, quién explota, quién se beneficia? El asesino, el mismo que da las noticias. Hay una cuenta fácil que siempre me da las grandes riquezas, de dónde vienen y hasta dónde van.
Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao. Nati Dre es afroresistencia, cultura ancestral, afrodescendencia, solidaridad. Esa es la esencia, la diáspora africana eleva la conciencia, conciencia negra, universal, progresista y transcultural. Negros y mestizos revolucionando, pueblos caribeños y africanos en un solo bando. No más explotación, colonialismo interno, no más confusión, supremacía blanca en el Babilón. Soy rojo, negro y verde, afroliberación. Mientras más negro, más represión. Somos creadores, recupera tu visión. Mi visión es educar con amor, contra el silencio, vivo sin temor. Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao.
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It's the Rise Up International Morning Show. We're in the building. I am Kalanji Changa alongside who I'm rocking with today.
Well, for those who don't know, I'm sorry. Go ahead, my sister.
Nope, you got it, Dr. Kim, but you know I'm here for it.
Yeah, all this chivalry ain't working this morning.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here with my comrades. Can't wait to get in, to this conversation.
Welcome,
absolutely. Reverend Kiana Jones Moore here. KJ, as they call me in these streets. Okay. Definitely happy to be here with the Uprisers this morning and my comrades.
Okay, Uprisers in the building. We got you on the back of the bus like you Rosa Parks' daughter or something. Let's do a switch real quick. Put you up there because I don't want no problems. Anyway,
look, it's all to the good. It's all to the good as long as I'm here.
As long as we're here. Man, we are happy to be back on the Rise Up with the Uprisers. Shout out to all the good people out there checking us out across the globe, across the planet. As you all know, Kiana Jones Moore is one of our newest hosts on the Rise Up. You know what I mean? So we're definitely happy to have her, and we appreciate the work that she's been putting in, along with Kimber, you know what I'm saying, who we don't give him no good introduction. He's been here too long. But anyway, we appreciate
I'm glad you appreciate me, though, man.
Anyway.
No, we do. Kimber has really been putting it down with the Malcolm X study group these days. Okay. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We Charge Colonialism is doing the thing. Yes.
Kimber, how much you paying Kiana to give you this?
Hey, not yet, but she keep going.
Okay, we got payola going on over here. Anyway, it is a lot going on. This is Black Power Media Reloaded, and it's a beautiful thing. I want to say that it's so much going on. A few things we needed to cover today because we know that things are out of hand in the Congo right now. You know what I'm saying? We know what's going on over in Goma, and we wanted to talk to the experts. So we invited some brothers on board today to talk about the Congo, friends of the Congo, and one of our good brothers who was born and raised in Rwanda and who experienced all types of BS at the hands of folks like Paul Kagame. So we're going to talk about what's going on in that particular region because we know that it's mandatory. Aside from that, we want to give you all a report on what's going on with Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H. Rap Brown. So we want you all to stay tuned and make sure that you let a friend know, tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend that you're checking out the Rise Up Morning Show. Now we usually we usually go to a quick Black Power break, but I think that we need to just hop right on into this thing because you know, the Congo can't wait. So I'm gonna invite some of our folks on board. We got brother Maurice Carney in from Friends of the Congo. What's happening, Maurice? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. How y'all doing?
Hey, man, we're live on arrival. Maurice is no stranger to Black Power Media. They've been doing great work with Friends of the Congo. So he said that he's going to bring someone with him. I said, please don't bring this brother right here. But he brought our brother Kwame Will. So we happy to have him too. You know what I'm saying?
Love
Shout
you
out.
too.
Oh, thank you. So we got our brother Kwame on board. We have another brother who has been covering the Great Lake region. He's an author, a freedom fighter. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, I met him through Kwame as well. So
that's a good thing.
But we want to give it up for our brother Claude. Claude, what's happening, brother? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be here with y'all.
Glad
to see familiar faces and glad to meet the new people. KJ and Kemba, nice to meet y'all.
No doubt.
Likewise.
Yes. Now for folks who don't know Claude, we're gonna put in the liner notes a couple of the interviews that we've done together as well around Rwanda, because we think that, you know, it's important. Of course, we always covering Rwanda, we're always covering the Congo, but these are some of my favorite people talking. I want to see, we have a brother that is on the ground in the DRC, so we're going to try to see if we can tap him in real quick and see if you know, our connection is good. Passy, what's happening? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Passy,
I can hear. Greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you. Cool. So we got a full house today. That's a beautiful thing. And so to get it started, I think I want to go with we want to go with Maurice first to kind of give us an overview of what's going on in the Congo, what's going on in Goma in particular, and you know, why the world should be outraged and also in support of what the people of Goma is talking about, peace and freedom.
Sure. Thank you, brother. Really, for people to understand what's going on today in Goma, we have to put it in the context of a almost 30-year war of aggression and plunder by U.S. allies, Rwanda and Uganda, with the full backing of the United States and other European powers. When I say full backing, I mean arms, finance, training, intelligence, also diplomatic and political cover. And over the 30 years, a war of aggression and plunder has ebbed and flowed. And since 2021, we've seen an acute rise in the pursuit of territory in Eastern Congo, primarily on the part of the Rwandan president, Paul Kagame. And they've, in their pursuit, they've occupied land almost the size of Rwanda itself. And in the process of occupying land, and mineral-rich land at that, in fact, according to the United Nations, they've occupied this place called Rubayo, which is the largest coltan mine in the region. And in occupying the land, at the same time, they've encircled the city of Goma. Goma is the capital city of North Kivu, has about 2 million people or so. To the east of Goma, you have Rwanda, and to the south, you have Lake Kivu, and it's been completely encircled. And what we've seen over the weekend is an effort on the part of Rwandan soldiers and its militia group, the so-called M23, to enter into Goma and to capture the city of Goma after they've captured just about every existing route coming out of Goma. And what that means is, whether you're talking about, fuel or food or what have you, the city is being starved out. At the moment, there's no electricity, internet access, potable water or drinkable water is limited at best. And it's also the space of some of the largest displacement camps in the east of the Congo, because when the Rwandan soldiers and the M23 militia occupied those villages or those towns outside of Goma, the people rushed in, they left and went into Goma and settled in displacement camps. One camp, for example, is called Bulengo, has about 800,000 people or so. So what is happening now, since the M23 and the Rwandan soldiers have tried to enter into Goma, the people in the displacement camps are being driven into the city itself, which makes the situation even more precarious, not only for the displaced communities, but also the residents of Goma itself. So that's globally, that's the situation as we speak.
We appreciate that. Passy, you're in the DRC right now. What's it looking like from your vantage point?
Yes, thank you. For the moment, I'm based in Kinshasa. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're based in Kinshasa. We are in Kinshasa, but we are in contact with brothers, with folks in Goma, and the situation is very complicated after the death of the governor who was assassinated on the front line, and the invasion of rebels and militias. But the situation is that they haven't taken the airport yet. The Congolese army is still controlling the airport with the support of the SADC, militaries and the MONUSCO. So this is the situation. And inside Goma, the Wazalendo militias and resistance are still fighting and to control the national radio and television. And this is the situation. And the point is that the vice governor, the deputy governor of Goma, he went to Bukavu. So Bukavu is the neighboring province, the province next to North Kivu. So they left soldiers, militaries on the front. They ran away, and this is a kind of regret and anxiety of soldiers who are on the ground. So this is the problem. There is a problem of electricity and water, like Brother Maurice said, and no one is leaving the house, the homes there. Everybody, so the population is starving, and there's been a number of demonstrations, especially in Bukavu, to support those militaries on the front, and also the government is still supporting, is still declaring that they need to, the population has to trust in them, though they're suffering. And we also saw the attacks of the Wazalendo, these native resistance who attacked the Gisenyi, Rubavu, so this province next to Goma, Rwandan province. They attacked and the bases of so to the border. They attacked some Rwandan populations, but some of them they went to the Rwandan military, so they surrendered. And this is the situation. And for the moment, there are still attacks inside Goma in the avenues, and it is very, very complex because the M23 rebels thought that this could be easy, but we are all mobilized, either in social medias and on the ground. We are trying to resist, and we have the moral that we should fight. This fight is really, it will be long and it is popular. We will not let them control and take our lands because we are connected to that land. So we're together, and we are really encouraging the people, our soldiers, our brothers who are there, to continue and to rely on our efforts, our our needs to see the peace and coming back. And
breaking up, right?
Yeah. So definitely we appreciate.
Also, here in Kinshasa, we have been discussing.
Posse's breaking up.
Yeah. He was giving us that good information too.
Right. So, I mean, I want to ask Kwame, and we're going to try to get Posse's connection up a little bit. I want to ask you because I know that, working with Friends of Congo, there's been, of course, all eyes have been on that region for quite some time. Right now, with this situation, what is the importance of Goma to Rwanda, and not only Rwanda, because it's not a isolated situation where it's just Rwanda. It is the the Western government, is the Europeans, so on and so forth. There's a whole lot at stake. So why is that particular region so important? And what's the latest on that? And also, there are other forces that have gotten involved in it. So can you speak on that as well?
Yes, and thanks to Black Power Media for having us on today. This critical time, and glad to be on with you, comrades. Just so to the importance of Goma, right? As Passy mentioned, that the airport has not fallen. This is significant because it's true that infrastructure that MONUSCO, probably SADC, and other forces are able to deploy. So just the strategic importance of that angle. I remember, and maybe Claude could bear me out and Maurice, when you're flying out of Goma and you look, you see a massive operation with elements of the UN, of MONUSCO, close to that airport. I'm wondering, that's a tremendous amount of resources that's critical for fighting this battle. So just on that level, the importance, I would say, is looking at it from, we must remember that as much as we talk about mineral resources and territory, there's people's lives. Maybe Maurice, again, and y'all could balance me. When we went there in 2022, I want to say Goma probably was like 2 million people. If I'm not mistaken, I've heard that the numbers have literally doubled. And it's the kind of carnage where this is not only a question of armies fighting each other and seizing land and holding prisoners of war. People, the reports I've heard, I hope some of them is is not true. People have been beheaded. The level of carnage, right? So what I'm saying is centering the significance of Goma is not only in the mineral strategic resources, it's the human lives, the tremendous dehumanization and cost that brings back the specter of what happened in Rwanda back in 1994. And so I would say just centering that human tragedy there, and the scale of human international resources that's needed to support it, because the Congolese government has literally failed to protect the Congolese people or work in the interest of them. So this area is being destabilized. One might remember during the anti-apartheid struggle, how South Africa destabilized, disrupted the so-called frontline states, the kind of chaos that Rwanda is creating there. And of course, then that provides access to the tremendous mineral resources in the area. But like I said, we think about them getting the resources, but we should also not dismiss the talk about annexation, the talk about seizing and holding territory, because for all intents and purposes, the M23 has been able to hold territory, and so that's why I say in terms of the importance. Now, maybe Claude and Maurice can touch on this a little. There was a recent conversation, I think, with Kampala, in Uganda, and Kinshasa about road access to move resources, minerals out of Eastern DRC to export them either to Uganda or to the Indian Ocean or something, and that Kagame felt that he was being eclipsed because now remember, Uganda and Rwanda were pretty much on the same page in terms of some of the chaos that's being created. But if I'm not mistaken, I think this is an important point. I don't know if maybe Maurice or Claude could lean in on this, that might have been part of what might have triggered Kagame feeling, hey, wait a minute, Uganda is going to be dominating these resources at this time.
I want to, and I appreciate that, Kwame, we appreciate it. I'm going to pose a question along with what you just suggested to Claude, and I'm going to have my comrades jump in and pose any questions they have. Claude, and thank you for that, Kwame. You've, in previous discussions, we talked about Rwanda. We talked about the history of Rwanda. And to outsiders, you know, folks will look and say, well, you have two African countries warring. What's the problem? You know what I'm saying? I want you to, if you don't mind, walk us back a little bit, because you're born in Rwanda, right? You told us a story about, you know, just a number of the different atrocities that took place in the 90s. You talked about how you and your mother was forced to dig your own graves, right? So, I mean, I just want, you know, to give some context. Talk about what went on in Rwanda and why this isn't just a African on African squabble. And you're muted, by the way. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that question because I think it's important. It is true that often when people see these conflicts and they see this type of carnage, and it's not just a simple conflict. You know, conflict is a watered down term, honestly, to put it that way. When they see this type of aggression, they think, oh, this is African tribalism. This is, you know, African on African, you know, black on black crime. You know, the typical framing of these type of atrocities. And I'll start with this. What is happening in Congo? I think what you just said, if it was recognized as African country fighting another African country, that would be actually a step forward in being honest about the narrative. The M23 is actually the Rwandan army invading the Congo and the Ugandan army invading the Congo. Those two countries invaded the Congo, and they have, over the years, come up with a whole number of so-called rebel groups, these proxy militias that fight their wars and occupy the Congo. So I think the recognition is really important that, number one, this is recognized as a war of aggression from both Rwanda and Uganda into the Congo. The second thing is there's a tendency to always frame this as an attack on Eastern Congo. Right now, if somebody was to ask most people, what side of Ukraine was attacked by Russia? Do we know whether it was east or south or whatever? No, it's a country has been invaded. Even 1 inch does not matter, east, west, south, whatever. So Rwanda and Uganda have invaded Congo, but they do not have the resources to actually invade the Congo on their own. So this isn't simply an African tribalism, although Paul Kagame and Museveni, Uganda's president, would like to frame it as a war of tribalism, and these are like internal groups to the Congo that are just staging an internal self-defense fight. This is incorrect. This is an invasion. Now, the invasion, these two countries are two of the poorest countries in the world. They do not have the resources to actually invade another country. They do not manufacture weapons. They don't even have budgets that would be able to purchase the amount of weapons required to fight these wars. So they are supported by the United States, US, by the UK, by the European Union. They back them financially. There's always one or two excuses to fund Rwanda's military. What Rwanda's military and Uganda's military are doing and have done and have the way they've served in Central Africa, in the Great Lakes region of Africa, but also over the whole continent, and as far as even as far as the Caribbean in Haiti, is Rwanda soldiers and Ugandan soldiers serve as local mercenaries for Western countries and for Western multinationals, where the U.S. would no longer need to send their soldiers to a place like Somalia, for example. Right now, when it comes to exploiting oil reserves in Mozambique, Rwandan troops are down there in Cabo Delgado to secure resources for French company Total. In parts of Congo near the border with Uganda, Ugandan troops are there to secure resources for French oil companies. When it comes to mines, Ugandan and Rwandan troops are occupying Congo and parts of Congo to provide access for Canadian, especially a lot of companies on the Toronto stock market, Canadian companies, American companies, European companies in a variety of countries, including Switzerland and France and Belgium, the UK, to secure those mines. So these are local mercenaries that are doing the bidding for not only Western countries, but for Western countries' interest in terms of a imperialist expansion and occupation, but also for Western multinationals to extract these resources. So this now ties back to the Rwandan genocide. What Rwanda has used as an excuse to invade the Congo is initially they said that, so if let's maybe roll it back and kind of work the timeline forward. In early 1980, in the early 1980s, Museveni, Uganda's president, lost an election in Uganda and he started a war. The war lasted years. They committed mass atrocities, including rape and just horrible sexual violence, and amputations and beheadings, the things that you're hearing that are happening in Goma today. This was the practice ground in Uganda. In 1986, he won. Some of his fighters included Paul Kagame and many exiled Rwandans. In 1990, a group from the Uganda military, formed a rebel group, the same way they're doing it in the Congo, invaded Rwanda. So basically, Uganda invaded Rwanda in 1990. This is the 4-year war with major atrocities, again, with this group led by Paul Kagame, the RPF, which is in power in Rwanda today, committing major atrocities, like I said, the sexual violence, torture, you name it, some of the most horrible atrocities. This 4-year war is what led to the genocide in Rwanda. Then Paul Kagame won at the end of the genocide and claimed to actually stop the genocide. Then 2 years later, this is 94, 2 years later in 96, this is almost 30 years ago, he invaded the Congo with the pretext of going after those who committed genocide in Rwanda. But you always wondered, why is it if they were going after those who committed genocide in Rwanda, one of the things that they did was to time their attacks at the time when mines were done, mining or harvesting was done, and they went right to the stocks of resources. Of course, they massacred hundreds of thousands of people from Rwanda in the refugee camps. We've talked about that on this show. And they caused, they massacred thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of Congolese. And this invasion, both by Rwanda and Uganda, by the way, they both invaded Congo at the same time, has led to the death of more than 6 million Black people in on the continent of Africa. And where this goes is, when it comes to imperialism, neocolonialism, occupation, and white supremacy and anti-Black racism, it looks so much better when you have a mercenary, a Black mercenary like Paul Kagame, and a Black mercenary like Yoweri Museveni, who is doing the killing. It looks like Black on Black crime. You know, it's nice for the optics. So these are servants of the West. These are the local plantation managers for the West. These are the local mercenaries for the West who do the bidding all over the world. So why has it been so silent for the last 30 years? Why has the world been so silent for the last 30 years? That is because, as prior to the technological advances in social media opening up to where everybody has a voice that can go around the world, everything was filtered through corporate media. Everything was filtered through the gatekeepers, the academics, and people who basically align with these Western governments and go with the Western narrative of Kagame being a hero, because again, he is just mass murdering Africans. Museveni being a hero, because he's mass murdering Africans. And today, what we have in Goma is just one more of many attacks in Congo by Rwanda and Uganda, excuse me, with the support of Western imperial powers. Remember when the war in Ukraine started and Russia invaded Ukraine, there were all these sanctions. We haven't seen sanctions when it comes to Rwanda. And when I say sanctions, there was, yes, there were a bunch of sanctions and things like that. And this is where you see the double standard and the complicity by these Western imperial powers. They don't apply the same rules when it comes to the Congolese. This isn't to say that they have the high moral the high moral ground to impose these sanctions, but it is also to call out the hypocrisy of allowing such atrocities to take place. This is similar to what is happening in Palestine with Israel, the Israel apartheid regime invading in going into Gaza and committing genocide, and actually continuing to be awarded with billions of dollars in weapons and money from US tax dollars, from US taxpayers' money. So what is happening today in Goma and in Congo in general is connected to us by us just simply even just being taxpayers, but also being consumers, because every single one of us has devices that are powered by resources that come out of the Congo. And so this is a global issue. It's not a local issue. And the question you were asking was, how is it connected to the Rwanda genocide? And Kwame was also asking about the regional connections and the resources. The Goma airport, as you said, is right near the UN base. And actually, these so-called M23 rebels, the Rwandan troops, have killed UN troops. And it's usually, I don't know if y'all remember what happened in Sierra Leone, that's usually the last straw. When the rebels in Sierra Leone started going after those UN troops, that's when then it all escalated. Now, what I think is happening today to end this is that I think what Kagame is doing, Kwame was asking, why is he doing this? Is it because he's being left out of the deal with Uganda? I think it's an escalation. This is a possibility, but it's also an escalation to create some kind of negotiating leverage. It's also, it also comes back to the incompetence of the Congolese officials who today have not shown a level of seriousness that's needed to deal with this issue. I have a proposal that I need to probably just campaign around. The Congolese government needs to close its borders with Rwanda and Uganda. What that is going to do is not really stopping, because we have families that are, I have an uncle on the Rwanda side and an auntie on the Congo side. I mean, it's walking distance. The borders are porous. But what this does is it will stop commerce, the smuggling of resources from going from inside of Congo to inside of Rwanda to be transported to the global market, from these resources from going from inside of Congo and being transported into Uganda to be sold on the global market. Also, flights from these countries will not be going right into the Congo and leaving from the Congo right into those. And this will escalate to those who do not care about the human beings that are being slaughtered. It will escalate because they care about their money, and shutting down the borders and shutting down commerce, because you're not shutting down the people who are walking, but you're shutting down the trucks that are doing all of the transporting of things. By doing that, now all of these companies, their stocks, their profits, they start to get hit. And the international community will start to act, not because they care about the human beings that are being killed. And obviously it's almost useless to appeal to their moral and sympathy, but they will do it because it is hurting their pockets.
Real quick, I talked about, I'm going to definitely turn it over to Kiana and Ikemba, but real quick, when we talk about Paul Kagame, there's a Atlanta politician who has strong ties and has a relationship with him and that regime. Can you speak on who that is and give us a little touch on this particular Atlanta politician that who's been at the center of the whole Stop Cop City situation, who's been on the side of building a cop city? But can you speak on that particular politician who has investments with Paul Kagame?
Question for me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is none other than Andrew Young, who is not only close with Paul Kagame, but also has lobbied for Paul Kagame, and has done this at the U.S. level, and also has promoted business opportunities for Paul Kagame, the mass murderer, the man that I call, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this on this platform, so you can
please do
get rid of it if you need to, but this is the person that I call the Hitler of Africa. More than 6 million innocent lives taken on the continent. And this, it's the same Andrew Young that was part of the civil rights movement. The same Andrew Young that was the mayor of Atlanta. The same Andrew Young that was U.S. ambassador to the UN. That Andrew Young, the light-skinned brother from who was the mayor of Atlanta. I remember it was a little over 10 years ago. Paul Kagame had one of his PAPE rallies. They call them Rwanda Days. His PAPE rallies in Atlanta. One of the speakers at the event was Andrew Young. And remember him pulling up, Brother Kwame was there, and he seemed like
really surprised.
There was a protest against Kagame in that place. So that is that politician that you're asking about.
Right on. We appreciate that.
That is supporting cop cities.
And we appreciate you mentioning that our brother Kwame was there. We're gonna have some questions for Kwame. I don't know what side he was on. If he was protesting or he was
He was in the house.
Kiara, do you have any questions before we get on Kwame?
Well, first of all, thank you, Claude, Maurice, Kwame, for being here. Thanks to Passy, even though his connection did not hold, for informing people about what's going on. Very important things that you brought out, Claude. First thing, no surprise about Andrew Young. No surprise that the Georgia International Law Enforcement Exchange, which imports and exports violence from places like Israel and other places that have very bad human rights records, is housed within the Andrew Young School of Public Policy, right at Georgia State University. No surprise that the same Andrew Young, who was ambassador to the United Nations, that stands by and allows these atrocities to happen. When we think about things in the global context and we make the connection between genocide everywhere, and if we are thinking immediately about what was going on in Palestine for the longest time, even before October 7, 2023, Israel was going into Palestine and bombing right outside of UN buildings. They were bombing actual UN buildings. They were sniping people who were coming in and out of these UN buildings. Many times, even schools run by the UN were subject to invasion by Israeli occupation forces, and they would just kidnap the children and take them and hold them for as long as they wanted to. And this all predates October 7th, 2023. But when we think about the United Nations as a body, even if we think about the International Criminal Court or the International Court of Justice, we know that right now there are warrants for a certain prime minister that is responsible for genocide, but they're not being executed because of the support of the United States, the United Kingdom, and other Western forces. When we think about the atrocities that are occurring right now in the Congo, Rwanda and Uganda have been empowered by these same Western forces, United States, UK, other Western forces that profit because we know, you talked about media companies are profiting. If we are talking about Google, if we are talking about Microsoft, if we are talking about even Amazon, the partnerships between Google and Amazon that make it so that the Democratic Republic of the Congo is a place that is exploited for its natural resources, but also for the labor that is there. And in particular, the child labor. When we look at the way that Israel has murdered, pillage, and the genocide that's occurred in Palestine, we saw a targeted attack on children. We know that the population of the Democratic Republic of Congo is heavily youth-centric. We know that a large part of this population is not even 16 years old yet. So if you are going to take out an entire people, as you are attacking the older people, we are committing genocide right where the concentration camps, because let's be serious, like when people are told to evacuate, those displacement camps become the concentration camps where they will be murdered. But you're murdering the adults there, but then also you're murdering the children in the mines. You're murdering the children because they won't turn into soldiers. You're murdering the children as they seek to fend for themselves, to get food, to get clean water. All the things that have been done right in Palestine, we see the same playbook. You're withholding food, you're withholding water. You are using sexual violence as a tool of war. Everything is exactly the same. And what is also the same is the forces that are behind this that will continue to support Rwanda, that will continue to support Uganda, and we're not being held accountable. The United States Congress is not being held accountable. The UK is not being held accountable. Other Western European countries that support also, they're not being held accountable. And at this point, the thing that I'm always asking is, when are the rest of us really going to stand up and put a stop to it? When are the rest of us going to decide that we are going to pack out the UN at the Human Rights Committee? When are the rest of us going to stand up and say, you know what? I don't care about your warrants, ICC. If nothing is happening, we are not going to let there be peace in these streets. There can't be rest in these streets. When are we going to show up the way we really need to show up for our brothers and sisters in Congo, because we know that it's not just the Congo. We know what's happening in Sudan. We know what's going on in Haiti. And what do we see? We keep seeing the proliferation of Western forces taking other Africans to do their bidding. And when are we as Africans going to say enough is enough?
Checking out Black Power Media Reloaded. That's Reverend Kiana. She done got on the pulpit. She done told y'all she ain't playing.
That's an amen right there.
Amen. This is the Church of Iron. Anyway,
that's a call for action right there.
It's a call for action. We definitely appreciate that. Ikemba, any words?
Yeah, just appreciate Sister Kiana. That call for action, and definitely the information that's being put out on what's going on in the Congo, because it's been going on for a long time, and we can go further back than the 90s, right? I appreciate what Sister Kiana said too in regards to what's happening throughout Africa, because these stories don't get the media attention. Central Africa Republic is a place that I like to look at, and I'm always looking for those stories because I know what's going on, not on the ground, but just from the research of what's happening there. And I think like that's another place that we need to be paying attention to. I guess my question kind of goes back to what you had brought up earlier, Comrade Kalanji, that Claude, you kind of answered it too when you talked about some of the players, right, that are there in Congo. But maybe just build on that some more too, with like even some specifics, because I know like I'm reading like South Africa has sent troops in Congo, and then there's China, who has interests in Congo, who has some of the largest mining companies in Congo. And I'm reading like few weeks back how you have Chinese smuggling gold bars out of Congo. So what is China doing? Because they have economic interests, or they're just sitting back collecting all the bread. And who are some of all of these other players that are in Congo? And I will admit, like you schooled me on Uganda, because in 2013 I've read that Uganda was part of the alliance to push back M13. I'm sorry, M23. I'm talking about M23. So how true is that? And I guess you can answer that question.
So I think to start on that question, it kind of goes right back to even what Kwame mentioned. The Congolese government has fumbled. I wouldn't even call it the bag. They just fumbled this whole, people's lives around in the way that they have acted. So it was in 2013 that Uganda was a part of the coalition to supposedly stop the conflict, stop the M23. This is a recent development that happened. If I remember the year correctly, it was 2022, when the Congo joined the East African Community, and there were troops from the East African Community that were sent into the Congo. Already, that was a problem, and the problem is part of the East African Community are countries that are actually invading the Congo. Rwanda and Uganda are part of that East African Community. So there was objection to Rwandan troops being a part of that group of troops. So Rwandan troops were not included, at least not officially. But Ugandan troops who invaded the Congo, who had actually facilitated the taking of the border town of Bunagana in recent times, at that time, by the M23, were included in this group of troops. It was one of the dumbest endeavor of allowing troops to come into your country, and including the invaders to actually come in there. So yes, there was a time when Ugandan soldiers and the Congolese people protested these troops. And one of the things that the Congolese people have is resilience. I mean, these, for years they've been killed, maimed, enslaved, and they continue to fight. The practice of amputating people, was widely practiced in the Congo, and the Congolese never back down. It's one of the places where nobody has ever really been able to control the whole territory in totality with an iron fist, regardless whether it was colonialism, dictatorship, invaders. No one has been able to do this because of the Congolese people's resilience. So the Congolese people, they just relentlessly protested against it until officially those troops were sent out of the Congo. Now, the South African troops are part of a UN brigade. This was also brought in to fight back the M23. In previous times, in 2012, is when basically Rwanda and Uganda's invasion of Congo was renamed to the M23, and got rid of the previous names that they used, which they've continued to evolve and change those names. During that time, a number of things happened. One was there was a UN brigade that was made of Malawian, Tanzanian, and South African troops that actually came and engaged in a fight against the M23. The second piece was there was actually international action where the US started it off by withholding military, like a portion of military aid to Rwanda. That amount was, I believe it was like $200,000. So that's probably less than most people's salary in the federal government anyway. So they withheld basically one person's salary. It's like, okay, we'll fire this person, or that's what it's equivalent to. But what it did was it started a domino effect where a bunch of European countries started withholding millions of dollars from the Rwandan government. And within months, the M23 completely disappeared, went into Uganda, and then they came back in 2022. 10 years later, they reincarnated into the Congo. And so again, remember, most of the people who fled from Congo from the M23 went to Uganda. But that wasn't the first time that Uganda had invaded Congo. The first invasion of the Congo in this period started almost 30 years ago, in 1996. The same time the Rwandan troops invaded Congo, the Ugandan troops were their partners in crime. These are criminals without borders. We've got Doctors Without Borders, Journalists Without Borders, Reporters Without Borders. We've got Criminals Without Borders. These Criminals Without Borders, from Uganda and Rwanda went into Congo together. So it's been happening for years. But because of the incompetence of the Congolese government, there are times when you would think that Uganda is actually an ally of the Congo. It may be an ally of the Congolese leaders, but it's not an ally of the Congolese people. It's actually one of the butchers of the Congolese people. It's the same way that during a previous administration, there were times when that administration would strike deals with Paul Kagame of Rwanda and his murderous, criminal, genocidal regime, and they would send their troops into the Congo. I do have a little story to tell, though. These countries, even today, they deny being a part of the invasion of Congo, especially Rwanda keeps denying this. This has happened before also. There was a time when, for years, Rwanda was saying, no, this is a Congo issue. We don't have our troops in the Congo, and we're not going to make, we do not ask us about what's happening in the Congo. That's an internal problem, just like they're pretending today. So they say this for years and years. And then one day, they held a ceremony to celebrate Rwandan troops returning from the Congo. Troops that supposedly were never there, that they denied were there the whole time. They actually had a ceremony, like they had planes landing and like a whole procession of soldiers. So the denial of the fact that Rwanda and Uganda are occupying Congo has been going on for a long time. Uganda is trying to be slick about it in trying to transform the narrative into we are partners, we are invited, we're doing this at the invitation of the Congolese government. And of course, like I said, keep repeating the incompetence of the Congolese government, but at the same time, it's no excuse for the invaders, the local plantation managers, the local mercenaries to go into the Congo and commit the atrocities that they are committing. It is no excuse for the international community to arm, fund, and defend the invaders of Congo and obviously profit from the resources of the Congo.
Definitely appreciate that, Brother Claude. I want to ask Maurice, Friends of the Congo, what's the plan? Where we looking at right now? I know that it's spiraling. We know that we're sitting here, and to a great extent and to a degree, I almost feel like a coward because I can't do anything to help. You know what I'm saying? Besides get behind the screen right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's not, and I'm saying that not to be disrespectful to anyone that's doing work, but the fact that, I recognize the folks on the screen as fighters, right? And here it is, we know that while we are doing this, working on this broadcast right now, there's war, there's blood being shed. You know what I'm saying? Someone just caught a bullet, someone is being raped, someone, somewhere is being pillaged right now while we're doing this platform, while we're comfortable, while we're comfortable. And it's not a knock on anyone because, unfortunately, we're doing more than most.
Hey, we got to start knocking, man. 2025, man. We got to. Well, I mean, letting people off the hook.
No. It's not about letting anyone off the hook. I'm saying, like, for us right here, we can't just hop on a plane and just head to Rwanda or head to, jump in the middle. We can't even get off the block sometimes to deal with the BS that's happening right here, right now. So I'm a realist. I'm not sitting here poking my chest out, acting like we, the A-team or some bullshit. I want to ask you, Maurice.
Stuff that we can do in our spaces, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think Claude said it earlier, right? It's not just a local issue. The reason why the war is able to, that war of aggression and plunder is able to continue locally is because of the support that these agents of neocolonialism are getting globally, right here in Washington, right? Or in Atlanta. So there's a role for us where we are, because this is not just something that's happening, in Goma or North Kivu or the Great Lakes, right? It's happening there because of what's happening in Washington, because of what's happening in Brussels, because of what's happening, in London and Paris, right? So it's important for us to have that understanding, the nature of the war of aggression and plunder. And in terms of plan, the first thing is to support the people, right? We're working with our partners on the ground. They're set up in the displacement camps. Displacement camp called Bulengo. It's got about 800,000 people. They're being bombed, right? So they had to evacuate. They had to relocate. So we had to mobilize resources right on the bat and get it to them on the ground so that they can move, so that they can get food, so that they can build their own shelter. So that's the first concern, to make sure our people are protected. We made sure that we mobilize resources so that we can get information coming out of there. With the journalists in our network, would have loved to have one of them on with you today, but it's been out of communication for the last 10 hours, so we don't know whether he's dead or alive. He said last communication was, hey, there are bullets flying through my door, and I got to take cover. I can't even go to the UN because they don't protect journalists. So the extent to which we can, to support the people, right? Folks want to do that, they go to freecongo.org and they find out how they can do that. Reverend Kiana talked about getting in the streets. Folks are going to be in the streets tomorrow and in New York at at the United Nations. You want to stay up to date on where folks are going to be in the streets. Hit us up on Instagram at Congo Friends, or on Twitter at Congo Friends. In DC, we're going to be in the streets again in front of the Rwandan embassy, most likely on Saturday. I know Kwame and brothers and sisters in Atlanta are planning something there. So be in solidarity with us as we get in the streets. Even if you're not able to make it, let people know, like, hey, there's pressure being put on the Rwandan government, on the UN, on the US government. So it's vital for us to continue to do that. We also have to understand the nature and the scope of this operation. It's not just a military operation. The United States, as powerful as it is militarily, they put hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars in their military, right? That's not enough. They have to launch a propaganda campaign and say, hey, you have weapons of mass destruction, and they have to get their media in line, right, in order to justify their war, right? So in the case of Rwanda, it has a massive propaganda campaign, not to justify its war against the Congolese people, but to actually cleanse the crimes that it's committing in the Congo, to actually cleanse the atrocities that it's committing in the Congo. And in doing that, right, they connect with a range of people. Entertainers, like I'd mentioned to you before, they invite the entertainers, US, especially Black entertainers, to Rwanda. Kendrick Lamar has been, Dave Chappelle has been. John Legend is planning to go on the 21st of February. So we're saying, hey, hit up John Legend and say, hey, you're covering for a war criminal, what Claude called the Hitler of Africa, right? So we need to put pressure on those entertainers. The entire NBA, National Basketball Association, ESPN did an investigative piece on them, on what Kagame is doing, how Kagame is using sports, basically sports washing, the crimes that he's committing in Rwanda and in the Congo. So we need to be hitting up the basketball players like, hey, this is happening. Do you know what's going on? How your league is being used to cover crimes against Black people, in the Congo. So we need a Colin Kaepernick in the NBA, right, for a whole host of issues, not just the Congo, right? Right. So these are some of the things that we're saying to people that they can be a part of if they want to be in the comfort of their homes and social media. Use your iPhone. Use that program from the Congo to hit these folks up and say, hey, you're covering for this guy, and just those are some of the things that I can share immediately. But follow us on at Congo Friends on Instagram. Hit us up at freecongo.org so you can get involved, take some action, and be a part of the larger movement. Because this isn't just a question of a movement against Kagame, right? Kagame is an aspect. He's just the latest version of the plunder and the ravaging of the Congo, right? He's a Johnny-come-lately, right? The Congo has been set out for plunder and ravaging by the imperialists from its very founding. It was founded for plunder, right? And this is continuing. And when amazing Congolese figure, along with his comrades, rose up, to disrupt that plunder, right? And Patrice Lumumba, in 1960, being elected as prime minister, the United States mounted the largest covert action in the world, right? To overthrow and assassinate Lumumba, to assure, right, that plunder continued to this very day. So the central question for us, all of us in mobilizing around the Congo, is that we have to rally around the people who are fighting against imperialist forces that want to continue to plunder the Congo. When Joe Biden went to Angola in December, he was going there to trumpet the Lobito corridor, that line that runs from the heart of the Congo out through Lobito port in Angola, that goes out faster than, 2 or 3 times faster than they've been going out before. So when we talk about Congo and the heart of Africa, this is really what's at stake, right? Kagame is an aspect of it. We're talking about a space in the heart of the African continent where Fanon said the fate of all of us is at stake right there in the heart of Africa. That's what Fanon said in his, toward African revolution. So that's what we need to understand as an African people. We need to understand what Fanon understood. We need to understand what Malcolm understood. We need to understand what, Nkrumah understood when he wrote The Challenge of Congo, right? You're saying that our fate is tied up there. And the extent to which the Congolese are successful is the same extent to which Africa will be successful, right? And that's not me, that's Che Guevara, in the diaries of Che Guevara. He went, he took up and went to the Congo, Kalanji, Castro sent him in 65, right? He said, this is the front lines of the battle against colonialism, right?
No doubt,
and I'm gonna be here, the Congolese to fight, right? That's a revolutionary. And that's what Che said, that Congo's challenge is not just the Congolese challenge, but it's a worldwide concern. And when you think about the centrality of Congo, right, to this so-called green energy transition, to combating the climate crisis, being a part of the second largest rainforest in the world, sequestering more carbon than all of the tropical rainforests combined, home to the largest tropical peatlands, right, producing minerals that are vital to EV, the electric vehicles we drive, the batteries in our cell phones and all. It's just critical to the planet. So if we're concerned about all of these things as human beings, not even Pan-Africanists or Africanists, just as human beings, we really need to be engaged and assure that the oppressed masses of the Congo triumph in the sense that they control their land, they control their wealth, they control their resources, and ultimately control their affairs for the benefit of Congo and for the benefit of Africa and the African world. So that's what's at stake.
No doubt. Listen, we have to wrap with this crew. I like what Maurice said. Maurice just checked me real quick. He said, everywhere is Congo. You know what I'm saying? So wherever you at, pick up the fight against imperialism, pick up the fight against Zionism, pick up the fight against colonialism, pick up the fight against capitalism, and that's how we crush it on a worldwide scale. You don't have to get on a plane to go to Rwanda. You don't have to get on a plane to go to the Sudan or to the Congo or to Palestine. We have it live and direct everywhere from Atlanta to the Bay, you know what I mean, and beyond that. I want to thank you all, Maurice, Claude, Kwame. I'm hoping that we can get you on again next week because this situation is necessary and we need to have these roundtable discussions every week. When we're talking about imperialism, it can't be you all stop in every 5-6 months. We got to stay updated. We got to know what's going on the ground. There are people that don't know, and today I'm sure they received an excellent education. So definitely salute to you all, and hands off to Congo. Run Kagame and Trump and all these other czars from around the planet. Run them up out of town. We will be back in a few ticks. We have a report on Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H. Rap Brown, one of the comrades, stopped through to visit him. So we're going to talk about what's going on there. The cause, free them all. Black Power Media Reloaded. This is the Rise Up Morning Show. Don't go nowhere.
See, unlike America would have us believe, the greatest problem confronting this country today is not pollution and bad breath. It's black people. It's black people. See, that's just one of the big lies that America tells you and that you go for because you chumps. You go for it. One of the lies that we tell ourselves is that we are making progress. But Huey's chair is empty. We're not making progress. We tend to equate progress with concessions. We can no longer make that mistake. You see, when they gave us that nigger astronaut, you say we were making progress, but I told you they were going to lose him in space. He didn't get that far. They gave you Thurgood Marshall, and you said we were making progress. Thurgood Marshall is a Tom of the highest order. Anybody who sits before James O. Eastland, a camel breath, Peckerwood, nasty honky from Mississippi. and let James O. Eastland subject him to the type of questioning that he did, he's a strange breed of man. You put Adam Clayton Powell in office and you couldn't keep him. What you think they're gonna do with Thurgood Marshall when they get tired of him? They gave you Walter Washington of Washington, D.C., and you said we were making progress. That's not progress. See, it's no in between. You're either free or you're a slave. There's no such thing as second-class citizenship. That's like telling me you can be a little bit pregnant. The only politics in this country that's relevant to black people today is the politics of revolution. None other. There is no difference between the Democratic and Republican Party. The similarities are greater than the differences of those parties. What's the difference between Lyndon Johnson and Goldwater? None. But a lot of you running around talking about you Democrats, and the Democrats got you in the biggest trick going. They tell you it ain't our fault, it's the Dixiecrats. There's no such thing as a Dixiecrat. The only difference between George Wallace and Lyndon Johnson is one of them's wife got cancer. That's the only difference. But you go for it. You go for it because you chumps. You go for it. The only thing that's gonna free Huey is gunpowder, black powder. Huey Newton is the only living revolutionary in this country today. He has paid his dues. He paid his dues. How many white folks you killed today? But you revolutionaries, you are revolutionaries. Che Guevara says it's only two ways to leave the battlefield, victorious or dead. Huey is in jail. That's no victory, that's a concession. When black people become serious about the revolutionary struggle that they are caught up in, whether they recognize it or not, when they begin to go down.
Boy, look at here. What y'all know about that man right there?
Hey, man, it's so much inspiration that I have from that brother right there. But the thing is, though, I was told after Obama won the election, we live in a post-racial society, so like some of that stuff isn't relevant anymore.
Really?
You know, so back in what 2008. So
that's interesting.
So this Trump stuff y'all talking about, I don't know what y'all talking. Obama got elected in 2008, so we in a new world right now.
Okay,
That's
we see that. Kimber took him a little smoke break before we while we was gone. But we got a guest on. Definitely shout out to Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown. Imam Jamil is one of the reasons why I'm in Atlanta right now. You know what I'm saying? I have bayat to the community of the West End, or to Imam Jamil, and you know, so that was one of the reasons I came down here. We have a comrade, a brother who is no stranger to the platform. In fact, he was on our 4th episode of the Rise Up Morning Show. He just stopped through, just visited Imam Jamil, and was out in Tucson, Arizona for a few days. So he's going to give us a report of what's going on with our main man, Imam Jamil. He has limited time to be on. We know he got stuff to do, but he said he was going to come through and holler at us real quick. My man, Arun Kunadi. How you doing, Arun? How's everything, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Good to see you again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Glad.
Now, of course, we know you as an author. We know that you are a journalist. We know that you are out there swinging. And we know that you just visited the Imam. So give us an idea of what took place, because I believe you went out there, what, 2 days, or was it 2 or 3 days?
I was out there like January 7th and January 8th.
Okay.
I interviewed Imam Jamil back in August 2021 as well, and that took me years. It took me years for them to allow me to go in, and in the end we had to threaten to go to court and take legal action in order for them to allow me to visit. So since then, I've been writing this biography of his life, and I'm towards the end of that process now. So I wanted to go in and interview him, just with a last round of questions, and so again, I had to threaten my, I had support from the Arizona State University Law School First Amendment Clinic and the Cornell University Law School First Amendment Clinic. They basically were my lawyers, and they had to again threaten the Bureau of Prisons that we're going to go to court and sue them on the grounds that not allowing me and other writers and journalists to visit Imam Jamil and interview him is a violation of our constitutional rights. So in the end, they backed down and they said, okay, you can go in. So that was scheduled for January 7th, January 8th. Then as you know, like a couple of weeks before that, we start to learn that he's in a serious medical situation. And, he's got this large swelling on the left side of his face. When I was landing in Arizona, I'm expecting that I'm going to be able to spend 2 days and 2 hours on each of those days recording interviews with him, as I'd done back in 2021, and that would be for my research and my book. But also, I was anticipating that, it would be a good opportunity for him to be able to record him describing his own situation in terms of his medical needs right now and the medical neglect that he's experiencing, and then we can get that recording out to people, and it would galvanize the kind of support and mobilization that we're trying to get going at the moment, to get people to write to the prison and to the Federal Bureau of Prisons to get him moved out of the federal prison in Tucson, where he is right now, to the medical center in Butner, North Carolina, where he hopefully can get some better treatment. So that's what I was expecting when I got there. But then when I got there, they told me, one, that they were going to say that I wasn't allowed to record anything, right? So the last minute, they kind of ambushed me and said, no, you can't bring in any recording devices. You can only go in with one pen and one paper. And so I couldn't record him this time. And I had to just had to do the interview and take written notes. We even, end up in this ridiculous situation where I'm arguing with the prison people about, like, can I take in 2 pens in case one runs out? And they're like, no, just 1 pen, and all this kind of stuff. So, so that was one thing. And then the next thing that happened was, so I spent 2 hours with him on the first day. And, he's in pain. He's in pain all the time. Because the swelling is, at this point it's protruding, I would say about 2 inches from the side of his face. It's very large. It's starting to wrap over his ear, and it also is affecting his throat. So he's unable to swallow solid. So,
real quick, for folks who don't know, tell us about what the swelling is, because there are some folks, this is their first time hearing about any swelling.
Right. So, to be honest, we don't know. Like, he hasn't been given a diagnosis of what the swelling is, right? All it is when you see him, he's got this massive protrusion that comes out about 2 inches on the side of his face, right? That's kind of built up over the last couple of months. And they haven't, if they know what it is, they haven't told him. He's got no diagnosis, right? And so they're giving him these kind of Ensure nutritional shakes right now. That's his only diet. He can't swallow solids because the swelling is protruding into his throat. So on the second day that I was there, that morning, they'd taken him to a hospital near the prison in Tucson, Arizona. And so I saw him after he'd come back from that. And what had happened was that some doctor, I don't know where they found this idiot, but this doctor had basically decided that he would try and pierce the swelling, hoping that the fluid inside would drain out. They tried a few different sized needles. That didn't work because the fluid was too heavy. And then they cut his face to try and drain it out. The fluid still didn't come out. And so they bandaged him up and sent him back to the prison, still with no diagnosis explained to him. And so basically he was back where he started. But of course now, you know, when those of us on the outside are saying this guy needs proper medical treatment, they can say, well, yeah, we did. We took him to the prison, you know, it gives them an out. We took him to the hospital. So, you know, but that was a complete waste of his time. And so, you know, he's in a, it feels like if this is not treated, he's heading for a serious crisis. And we need everyone to, you know, join the letter writing campaign and the phone calls campaign that you can read about on the Imam Jamil Action Network website, you know, which is about putting pressure on the Federal Bureau of Prisons and on the federal prison in Tucson to agree to transfer him for proper medical treatment.
You know, this is insane, because I had read your report and I got in touch with you after I received the report, and, you know, just hearing, I mean, and again, for the viewers, what Arun is saying essentially is that, you know, they're using Imam Jamil as like some type of test dummy, a crash dummy. It's like, let's see if this works. Let's stick a needle in it. Let's cut it. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, that is, first of all, it's medical apartheid. And it's the same thing that's been going on with Mumia. It's the same thing that's been going on with Leonard Peltier. And, you know, we're grateful that, you know, he's scheduled to be released. But this is one of the attempts they use at assassinating freedom fighters. Imam Jamil Al-Amin is 81 years old. He'll be 82 October 4th.
Yeah.
You know, and here it is. You have Arun going in. He can't bring any recording devices. They're saying, okay, we're going to let you get a pen and a piece of paper. I mean, this is so insane on so many different levels. Definitely get in touch with IJAN, Imam Jamil Action Network. We'll have that information in the notes. But I want to ask you, Arun, because, of course, we've been in communication with Imam Jamil for decades. Many of us have been fighting on his behalf as far as for his liberation, etc. You know, how's his spirits? How is Imam Jamil, the Imam Jamil that, has it changed from when you saw him in 2021, between those last 4 years, 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, physically he's weaker, right? And he's finding it harder to move around, and you can, you know, his voice sounds wearier than it did when I saw him 4 years ago, but his spirit is unchanged. And, you know, he still has that sharpness in his mental faculties that you saw in that recording that you played before we came on. You know, that he's still as sharp as ever in that sense. And, you know, he's retained his sense of humor, that, you know, that I got a taste of on previous meetings with him. You know, he still has that kind of quiet charisma that he's famous for. And so, you know, that was good to see. But he certainly, you know, his voice is not as strong as it was simply because of his physical circumstances.
Right. We know you're pressed for time. I want to ask you, we know you have a book coming out. Can you give us a idea on a possible release date, or where are you with that, and or a title?
Yeah, so the book the working title is I Rise in Fire, H.Rap Brown, Jamil Al-Amin, and the Long Revolution. And that is hopefully going to come out next year. So, you know, I'm kind of working on finishing that over the following months. And it's a biography, you know, it goes right through Imam Jamil's life from his childhood in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, you know, through to his involvement in Mississippi and Alabama with SNCC, and the Black Power movement, and then his Islamic activism and the flaws in the conviction that has led to his current imprisonment.
No doubt. We definitely appreciate you coming on. Know you have some other work to do last minute, but again, we're looking forward to getting another update and speaking to you and checking out the book.
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
No doubt. Be safe. That was Arun Kunani. We'll be right back at you after this Black Power break. Peace.
We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America. Our forefathers weren't the Pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. We were brought here against our will. We were not brought here to be made citizens. We were not brought here to enjoy the constitutional gifts that they speak so beautifully about today. Because we weren't brought here to be made citizens today, now that we've become awakened to some degree and we begin to ask for those things which they say are supposedly for Americans, they look upon us with hostility and unfriendliness. If you're interested in freedom, you need some judo, you need some karate, you need all the things that will help you fight for freedom. Nationalism is the wave of the present and the future. It is nationalism that's bringing freedom to oppressed people all over the world. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Algerians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Nigerians and to the Ghanaians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the people of Uganda and Tanganyika and Sudan and Somaliland. The Africans didn't get it by sitting in. They didn't get it by waiting in. They didn't get it by singing "We Shall Overcome." They got it through nationalism. And you and I will get it through nationalism. What is it? What is it that makes it difficult for the philosophy of nationalism to spread among the so-called Negroes? Number one, they think they have a stake in America. They think they have an investment in this country, which we do. We invested 310 years of slave labor, 310 years, every day of which your and my mother and father worked for nothing. Not 8 hours a day. There was no union in that day. They worked from sun up until sundown, from can't see in the morning until can't see at night. They never had a day off. And on Sunday, they were allowed to sit down and sing about when they died, they wouldn't be slaves no more. When they died, they wouldn't be slaves no more. They'd go up in the sky, and every day would be Sunday. That's a shame. And it is that 310 years of slave labor that went in, that was my and your contribution into this particular economy and political system. They can give us the back pay. Let's join in. If this is what the Negro wants, let's join in. Let's show him how to struggle. Let's show him how to fight. Let's show him how to bring about a real revolution. Let's make him stop jiving. You don't need a debate. You don't need a filibuster. You need some action.
Yes, yes. The Rise Up International Morning Show. We back again. Back again. It's a heavy morning. What y'all think?
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, it's heavy, but it's necessary. One thing that we can never stop doing is using this media platform to tell the truth, because we just heard from Claude about what happened with media. Like literally in Congo right now, there is a fight over who is controlling mainstream media and radio. And one thing that we know here is that mainstream media is the white liberation media. They are the white supremacist media. They are never going to tell the truth. And so many times there is a concerted effort to conceal the truth. The fact that Israel has still not had to answer for the overwhelming amount of journalists that they have murdered is an issue. We know that that's not just in Israel. We know that the same thing is happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo. We know that it's happening in Sudan. We know that it's happening in other areas where there is war, where there is conflict, where there is aggression. And the one thing that we have to remember is that none of this stuff about banning TikTok or anything is by happenstance. It is literally about keeping the truth from being consumed. Yes, there is a lot of misinformation on TikTok as well, but there is a lot of truth on TikTok. Blue Sky was started by a bunch of people who were disgruntled about Elon Musk taking over Twitter. And now you have those people who have finally decided that Elon's racism is too much. Finally. Now they all want to run over to Blue Sky. So I don't know what that's going to turn out like. But think about the fact that Meta has suspended fact checking. And also, if you are still on any Meta platform, go and check to see if you are now following the White House, the President of the United States, and the First Lady of the United States, because Meta has automatically made all of us to follow these people as if we really care about Trump or Melania looking like where in the world is Carmen Sandiego or anything else that's happening, you know, at the White House, other than these shenanigans that we continue to see. I mean, I honestly feel like everything that's come down from the White House in the past 5 days is way too much to even get into in this episode, because this one has been heavy, but really want to remind people that Congo is not an anomaly. When we talk about Africa and the global South, Congo is not an anomaly. Sudan is not an anomaly. Look at the area around Ethiopia and Eritrea where people have literally been starving for years. They're being starved. And nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to acknowledge it. The world is okay with seeing Black people starve. But Ukrainians can't starve. Ukrainians cannot starve. But the people in Africa can.
You
the
know,
people in Palestine can.
First off, I love the way you say Israel, because that, I mean, it's real hell. You know what I'm saying? But I want to definitely salute the two of you for getting up early and hopping on the case, because, I mean, you know, it was good to see, you know, brother who tapped in, Passy tapped in from the Congo. You know what I'm saying? It's good to be able to get folks that are on the ground and not just, you know, giving opinions, because oftentimes, you know, we have our, you know, the talking heads who are state sponsored and we don't get what's real. It was good to have, of course, Maurice and Kwame from Friends of the Congo, but also our brother Claude, who was born and raised in Rwanda. And, you know, as we talked about in previous episodes, you know, was there when the war in Rwanda, the genocide in Rwanda took place. And he talked about, him and some of his comrades talked about the bodies for miles and miles that they had to walk over. And one of the things that I mentioned that I slightly alluded to, which you can check out in the past episode, is when he talked about how his mother, him and his mother was captured and how they were forced to dig their own graves. And, you know, something happened that pretty much spared them in order for them to, for him to be on this platform today. You know, so talk about war. We're not just, you know, giving our opinion. We go to the source and we try to find, you know, okay, boom, who has experience in these particular situations. So I want to point that out. And also shout out to the room, because, you know, for us to even get, you know, an update on Imam Jamil from someone who actually saw him, not just, you know, because we all see the picture that's floating around where he has the, where his jaw, you know, he has the abscess or whatever the situation is on the side of his jaw. But to get that inside report, it's very necessary.
Yes, I I appreciate just being able to cover this. What I'll say is, Brother Kwame is out here. He and I find ourselves in the same spaces around, where we all are in Metro Atlanta. We find ourselves fighting this fight together many times. And I had gotten a message in one of our other groups that we share from Brother Kwame this morning, just saying how the situation in the DRC was escalating. But what I want people to know is that Friends of the Congo didn't just say, hey, let us put this out now because things are escalating. Months and months ago, I was blessed to have my church, Park Avenue Baptist Church, and try to encourage some others to participate in Congo Week. The information is out here. People have been raising their voices. People have been saying, this is what's going on in the Congo. The youth of Congo have been highlighting what they call Genocost. Understanding that as much as there is genocide in Congo, it not only comes at a cost to the Congolese people, but the cost is making money for U.S. corporations. So this Genocost is directly tied to profits for Google, for Amazon, for Microsoft, helping people to understand how Congo is being exploited for its resources. And during Congo Week, there is an entire there's a liturgy for churches, there's curriculum for youth programs and schools even, and there's activities in different places around the country to highlight the plight of the people of Congo. And even before it got to where we are right now with Rwandan and Ugandan and military forces invading the Congo, imagine if more people had stood up and come out during Congo Week to even understand what's going on there. Imagine if people at that point had said, if the same concerned Black clergy that wants to get out and talk about Martin Luther King and go to Ebenezer and look stupid all the time, if they would have said, you know what, there's genocide happening in Congo, because they definitely didn't want to speak up against genocide in Palestine. So maybe they'll speak up for Congo. If they would have had their congregations to participate in Congo Week, to have someone from the Basanja Coalition to be able to come and speak to them. For me, it was an honor for me to have someone to come here from the United Kingdom that is a part of the Basanja Coalition to talk about the work that they've been doing and the awareness that they've been raising and how they are ringing the alarm about the atrocities in the Congo. People use their platforms for all other type of nonsense, especially people who wear the mantle of what I call a clergy cloth. They will get out here and be shucking and jiving for any amount of things. But when it comes down to speaking up for a place like the Congo, they are radio silent.
And I'm glad you mentioned Congo Week. We participated the last couple of years. One of the things we had Juliana Lumumba on, daughter of Patrice Lumumba, a couple of years back. But also we hosted a panel discussion on here on BPM in regards to Congo Week. And, it's something that, there should be a Congo month or Congo year, because when we talk about the number of different atrocities, and it goes, I'm just going to say it, man. It's like oftentimes when it comes to people with a darker hue or from a darker hue, we don't always get the same attention. And it's important. So expect here on BPM, yes, we're going to talk about what's going on in Palestine. Yes, we're going to talk about rights here and abroad, but we're also going to focus on the Congo. We're also going to focus on the Sudan. We're also going to focus on the genocides and the terror in Rwanda itself, because, it's not just, as Claude pointed out, it's not like everybody in Rwanda is down with Paul Kagame. You know what I'm saying? We're clear about what's what. In past episodes, they talked about how he would literally send folks to hunt down brothers and sisters who left Rwanda. So it's not like you can be taken out here in the U.S. if you were against Paul Kagame in Rwanda. You know what I mean? So you will hear about that. You'll hear about Haiti. You'll hear about Colombia. You'll hear about these different spots and regions from the Caribbean to, of course, the continent, because it's very important that we don't just go with what's popular.
Yes.
Because oftentimes folks go with what's the flavor of the month. No, we want to talk about what's going on all the time at all costs. And to your point around independent media, very necessary. If you dig what we're doing, make sure you support our efforts. Make sure you support our efforts, because there are big things that we would like to do. What we're doing now, this is a love offering to folks. You understand what I'm saying? So until we get to a point where we can fund and sponsor our own revolution, we're not getting corporate.
We don't get
funds.
corporate donations, and we don't have eccentric billionaires who are funding us.
Boy, what you talking about? That sounds familiar. You on your way? I want to point out. I want to shout out. Speaking of independent media, I want to shout out the Final Call. They actually just posted this piece. They did an article on Leonard Peltier's clemency for the last 50 years. This is actually a photo from our last visit with Leonard back during his parole denial. So make sure you check out this article. It's in the latest episode of the Final Call. I literally just got this while we were on the air. So, definitely salute to them for making an effort.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's what we're asking as a people. We're asking our people to, you don't have to be in the same book, but at least you don't have to be in the same page, but at least be in the same book. You know what I'm saying? And that book is the Book of Revolution. We got to talk about being anti-imperialist. We got to talk about being anti-capitalist. And everything else we can struggle with. You know what I'm saying? We can say, okay, boom, I don't like how you do this. I don't like your shirt, or good, I don't like your tie. Whatever the case, we don't care about none of that. At the end of the day, what side of the barricade you on? That's what's important.
Exactly. Liberation. It is about our liberation.
No doubt. But also, I want to say we have a lot of great content on the platform. Make sure you check out the latest Arm the Masses with Professor Griff. Check out the latest Amandala with Professor Gerald Horn, Dr. Gerald Horn, Brother Boona, and who else is on that show? I think we might know somebody else on there, Kimber.
I think Natasha's on that show.
I think Natasha X.
We gotta give Natasha credit. Okay, Natasha.
Absolutely, Natasha is on that show.
Yes, and a couple other good folks.
Check out We Charge Colonialism. Check out Vital Hoops. Check out Political Prisoners and You. I've been getting a real education, like a whole separate education on political prisoners and you. Really love it. And one thing that I will say is that it's the sorry dog that don't wag his own tail. So we are definitely wagging the tail of Black Power Media Reloaded here, promoting all that is going on. Sisters of the Whirlwind, all of the shows that are here are for your education. And I know that it's hard to keep up at times because we live our lives at more than a mile a minute. But when you do get downtime, and maybe when you don't necessarily quite have downtime, but you're doing something else, you can listen, because that's what I'm doing a lot of times, just listening. But I know that if I don't catch Vital Hoops, when it comes on live, I'm going to catch it later on. If I can't be a part of the Malcolm X study group while it's happening live, I'm going to catch it later on. If I cannot hear Professor Griff yelling at 12 p.m. on Monday and Wednesday, I'm going to catch it later. I'm going to catch it later.
Don't worry. He'll call you direct the yell. Don't worry about it.
Look, what I will say is that as much information as there is to be consumed, it's being filtered right here through Black Power Media Reloaded. And you don't have to do it all at one time. Take your time. That's why you like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe so you can go back to other episodes. Share so that you are not hoarding the information, but so that we can all get on the same page. Because we're not going to get on the same page if we're not having the same conversation.
Listen, Kiana Jones Moore, I'm sitting here. You got me hyped. I'm like, I'm about to go. I'm saying, like, shit. What time they come on? But
I'm just saying.
Yo,
You should. There's literally something for everybody. There's something for everybody.
You ain't lying. I mean, because I caught some stuff. Because I'm not even gonna lie. Sometimes I'm so busy that I'm checking out the shows as I'm moving around. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily get to see the faces and whatnot. But sometimes, everything from the Rise Up to Rupturing the Aesthetics, which is another new show on the platform. And you mentioned Daughters of the Whirlwind. But I want to say to you too, the hosts, where can you go get Reverend Kiana Jones? Where can you go get Rakim Shabazz? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the new co-hosts on the Rise Up. I mean, that is super dope. We feel great because, and for me, I'm gonna say this selfishly. It's no secret that I I started another platform with some other folks, and there was war. It wasn't war with me because I don't whatever. I don't play internet games. However, I'm just saying it's like a lot of folks try to slide and slip, and it's beautiful because the thing that I learned from my grandmother a long time ago, she said, you find out who's down when they think you down. When they think you down and out, you find out who's with you and who's against you. And it's a beautiful thing. I love it because I like to draw the line in the sand, but I'm grateful because of folks like you that are doing the work, not just talking that shit, not just talking heads that pop up on the internet, but are willing to say, okay, boom, yeah, we all out here swinging, let's build something.
Yes.
So definitely appreciate you all. Isaac, I'll shout Isaac out. He's gonna have a heart attack live and direct on the next platform.
Big shout out to Isaac.
Yes, little brother Isaac. But definitely, salute to you all for checking out this work. Anything going on in your areas where you all are? I mean, I know you're down the street, Kiana.
I am always in receipt of some things that are going on. I don't promote a lot of it though. And what I will say is that the thing that I am most looking forward to is the Council of Independent Black Institutions. They are having a conference February 14th and 15th. We'll be here in the Metro Atlanta area.
I'm glad somebody's promoting it because I know two people that are on the platform. I ain't hear him talk about none of it. You are in Atlanta.
Natasha was talking. She put
Natasha has promoted.
Wait. Look at Kimber talking about Natasha was talking. Aren't you involved with it?
No, heck no.
Oh, okay.
In Atlanta, I'm not involved. No.
Okay.
Wait a minute now. Don't be like heck no.
Kiana, check him, Kiana. Let me step back.
Don't be like heck no, because that made me. I felt something in that heck no.
What do you say about Atlanta?
Not like that. I'm just saying.
He's like heck no, not in Atlanta. Like wait a minute now.
Who goes there?
But this is where it's needed.
Out loud. Yes.
This is where it is needed. The Council of Independent Black Institutions, and we're talking about where do we go from here? Because we know that there are a number of detrimental, not only executive orders, but also actual bills that have been passed through state houses and bills that are up for consideration in Congress right now. And those people who are intent about liberated African-centered education for their children need to be a part of this conversation. This is a 2-day event. It is Friday, February 14th and Saturday, February 15th. I forget the location for Friday, but it is not far.
Dollar Grill Museum.
Yes, and then Saturday is at the Auburn Avenue Research Library. So we are right around the heart of the city for each day, but having this vital conversation about how we move during these times. Because one thing that I know is that I do firmly believe that it is not wise to allow the oppressor to teach your children. And that for those who feel like they have no other choice than to do that, perhaps this will give you not only some inspiration, but show you that you have support and that it is possible for your children to be just as well educated by you yourself at home or within an independent Black institution of education. I think this is extremely important.
No doubt. I want to acknowledge my brother Marcus Klein out in Chicago Freedom Home Academy. If you all are not familiar with Freedom Home Academy, this is my brother. We go back over 30 plus years. Make sure you YouTube, Google, whatever you need to do, and check out the work that I say pound for pound, round for round, and I might get some flack for this because I know a whole lot of dope educators out here that I love, but pound for pound, round for round, what my brother's bringing to the table is crazy. But I want y'all to check out Freedom Home Academy and all other independent African institutions. Again, as Kiana mentioned, if you're in Atlanta area, February 13th and 14th, or 14th and 15th?
14th and 15th.
Make sure you tap in and see what's good. Now, I heard a rumor there might mess around and be a live Rise Up International Morning Show during that weekend.
Stick around and see, y'all.
Might be an in-person thing. So let us know if you want to go. Black Power Media is reloaded.
That's messed up, man. That's all.
What you mean? What you mean, brother? That's messed up. What you trying to say, brother? You not bombed on Atlanta one time.
About this on air, but you know,
Kiana.
Absolutely, you are not just hearing about this.
Say it one more time, Kiana. Hold on.
You are not just hearing about this.
Kiana, do we not have a group chat, a Rise Up chat?
We do.
Oh, damn.
We do. I'm just saying.
Lord.
I'm just saying.
Kiana, I'm so glad you're on here.
I need to catch up on some stuff.
I want to say something. I want to say something real quick. Right now, I'm at the House of Ogun. Kiana knows what that is, right? And the last time I was at the House of Ogun and I saw Reverend Kiana Jones Moore, she was like, "Yeah, Ikemba don't get enough credit. We like Ikemba.
That's true.
Ikemba. And now I'm so glad she on here right now because Ikemba, your man, just said that he didn't know nothing about what we talking about and said it's messed up.
No, I think you might have overlooked that, Kimba, because I definitely caught that one.
I missed some messages.
I left a voice message on top of that.
You left a voice message?
This is true. This is true.
Hey, I've been really busy. I've been really busy.
You've been busy the last few days. Oh, okay. You know, I won't be doing nothing.
Hey, today was the first day back for me. You know, or yesterday was the first day back, I should say.
Ikemba, yesterday was the first day back for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that was the weekend. I mean,
no, I'm not talking about here. I'm talking about
Okay. Back to earth. We understand about
Kimba got a lot going on.
At work. First day back to work yesterday.
Okay.
Kimba's got a lot going on, but we appreciate you. We do appreciate you.
I guess we do. I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to some folks about that. You call my man Boone.
I was excited to be on with you today, but now
with Kiana, he's good. Kiana, don't act up. Let that brother. let Kiana be great, Ikemba. I feel you, brother. But anyway, you shouldn't even be that way, brother. Take us back for what we were. Don't let Kiana divide us. Anyway, check it out. The Rise Up International Morning Show.
Not me being a peace breaker. I'll just be doggone. That's something.
You know, you Cop City activists. Anyway.
Hey, but no, full circle though.
You see my poster? You see my poster? Do I need to bring it closer?
Okay,
I need to bring it closer. Hold up, let me see.
Okay.
Can you see it? Can you see it?
Okay, it's looking good up there. All right.
Wait, this one in particular though. That's trying to show you that Andre Dickens is a sellout. That was the one I was trying, the one with the clown wig.
He looked like another clown I know, but that's what it is. I know a lady Ronald McDonald, but it be like that sometime. Definitely, we appreciate you all checking us out. This is the Rise Up International Morning Show. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I think, in my opinion, you got some valuable information today. You know what I'm saying? If you knew nothing about what was going on in the Congo, if you knew nothing about the Rwandan genocide, I think we gave it to you pretty fair. Good information on the man Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H. Rap Brown. And y'all got to kick it a little bit with these good people on the screen. We will be right back at you mañana. Rise Up International Morning Show. Make sure y'all check in. Stay tuned and continue to rise up.
That's it. Rise up, fam. Uhuru, people.
Uhuru. Yes, yes, yes. Now you know, I'm gonna show y'all something else real quick as we tapping off. That I am not the tech person, but I'm gonna go ahead and get it right this time. I'm gonna play it off and just act like I'm getting it right until I get it right. All right. Anyway, we out of here. Rise Up International Morning Show. Y'all stay tuned.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one. Well, the battle is to love yourself and function in society where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares. Mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, with the babies in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish, what tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution, it's real solutions. Well, we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Well, my inner me, really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky. Like chariots are swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution, it's real solutions. Well, we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution, where my enemy is really a mirror for the galaxy.